scene. After the outbreak of World War I, Julio Juanito explains to his disciples this, and it's a particularly important point in history, that they are now, that these people who are fighting are working for a master without a face, without a spirit, unborn yet infinitely cruel in the womb. And he is describing this as Diablo's Mile. Now, in the courtyard of a Parisian building, they find an abandoned statue, half destroyed, of a man who will hold something like a book in his hand, and something like scale in the other hand. And Julio decides to make a little provocation, and he calls this the champion of civilization, holding a declaration of human and civil rights and a scale, the symbol of eternal justice. And when the concierge says that this depicts a deceased storekeeper with his scale and ledger, it is completely ignored, and masses of people come flocking to pay tribute to that champion of humanity. Now, of course, there is the same situation in Julijurena and in Kulish. They come to a grave which has a half-rotten cross and the words "Hu" on it. And what I learned in the course of my research, that in the 1920s, the satanic sects, which were quite common in the former Soviet Union, used the multi-image of crucifixion as a penis crucified. Christ presented as penis. By the way, the famous film director Sergei Eisenstein belonged to one of these. And actually, these are his drawings that I saw. So you see that in Kulish's play, people of the old type, of the old mindset, who think that he was a saint, march to the same grave as the new communists who think that he's a revolutionary hero, and they are worshipping Diablo's Mile in many ways. And such an interpretation of Julijurena is further confirmed by other motifs of the invisible demonic power in Kulish's other plays, because this is actually confirmed by similar motifs in other plays. I will mention only one example here, and because I don't have the time. Who is Gustav's mysterious guest? The man who is living in his, who does nothing and creates the whole havoc. Well, in the one sense, he is a prefiguration of Narodny Malachi, because if you may remember, those of you who read the play, Malachi locks himself for 2 years, reads Bolshevik books, mixes it all up with the Bible, and comes up with his theory. Here, and by the way, in his behavior, he is very demonic in many ways, something that Ukrainian immigrant critics did not want to see, because he was so anti-Soviet, he should be good. Now the Ivdia, who is the maid, insists that this tenant reads black books. But the strange, but however, he is the member of the Grand Cheka, the liquidation of illiteracy, while Julio Juanito goes to Ukraine to die exactly as a member of Grand Cheka. So there is a direct connection again between Kulish and Juanito, if you are careful and if you read these things carefully. So I would give you a number of other examples if I had time, and you would see that Huska ends up to be a normal human being, shocked by the revolutionary change around him, who ended up between the two devils, the small one, the Kirpatenko, and the larger one, which is already living in his home, and it represents something that is, well, represents the new power The new power, which does not necessarily have to be associated with Soviet power, but the new power that is running the show from now on. And it is actually similar to the circumstances of the protagonists of Revizor at the end of the play, when Stech leaves and they are left waiting for the new Inspector General. Because most interpretations of Gogol treat the Inspector General as God, as the time of punishment has come and you will now respond for your stupidity. Well, Merezhkovsky doesn't see it that way at all. And Merezhkovsky is the man who understands Gogol, in my mind, better than most. And what he says is, he points out the ambivalence of the figure of Revizor. He says, we do not see him. For us, he remains an even more elusive and ghostly figure than Chlestakov. But if we had caught a glimpse of him, then who knows? Perhaps the two officials from St. Petersburg, great and small, might have borne a strange resemblance to one another after all. Small and large. Diabolus minor, and Diabolus minor. Just to complete, despite the very pessimistic view of the reality that he expressed in his plays, just like Gogol did, Kulish is actually trying to take a human stand. And the difference between the two writers, this is the summation in my last commentary, is shown in this last scene that in Revizor, when Gogol is actually Gogol is trying to scream to the audience, who are you laughing at? You're laughing at yourself. He's trying to awaken audience to the absurdity of their own behavior, of their own thoughts. What Kulish wanted to do with Huska would make him hang himself, and people will stare at a tragedy. The difference between the two writers, in my view, is that Gogol is always, by nature, a didactic writer. He wants to influence, he wants to convince, he wants to actually preach. Kulish is a tragic playwright. He shows the tragedy, but at the same time, in his real life, he was one of the most dedicated and one of the strongest opposers of this devilish reality that was happening around him, and especially this mimicry, the mimicry of presenting something to be something else, the mimicry of presenting the Soviet power and Soviet reality as paradise on earth, when he saw it as a famine of millions of people. And his choice was to remain unbreakable. I could give you a few stories about his time in prison, and about that he was one of the few ones who did not really break down. And, well, he did break down, but he did not break down in a way that he would endanger anybody else but himself. I want to leave you with the idea that it is worthwhile today to think about Merezhkovsky's interpretation of the devil as banality, as gossip, as pretending, as the reality show that is not reality at all. And of course, in political life, it is the PR that can make a saint out of a criminal. And to some extent, to maybe treat these things that we normally treat lightly with a little bit more seriousness. This is one of the benefits of reading classics with going maybe a little bit deeper under the surface, because they always tell you about today. Thank you very much.
Thank you for devilishly stimulating talk, and I hope that our audience feels satanically inclined and stimulated to the degree that that the devil isn't just poshlost, but it's chaos too.
Yes,
that is, let's
Absolutely.
throw chaos into the order you've created by asking questions. Please. From a divine height.
Careful. I was heartened to hear several times your reference to